Welcome back to part 2, solving multi-step equations. We're going to jump right into the rest of these notes here and see what we get. As always, I have my trusty calculator right here just to double check all of my answers, because as you know, people make mistakes. So our first step is always to distribute if necessary, and I definitely think we'll need to distribute here, so let's start there. We have our 8, and we're going to distribute that to both of those terms. I'm going to draw my line here. 8 times 2w would give me 16w, and 8 times -1 would give me -8. Then I'm going to bring down my -4w and everything else. All right, so far so good. The second thing my steps tell me to do is to combine like terms. And I do have a set of like terms here on the same side of the equal sign. It's the 16w and the -4w. So 16 minus 4 would give me 12. So now I have 12w. I'm going to bring down my -8 or my -8 equals -116. All right. Now I see, here's my variable. I'm looking to get rid of any constant on the side of my equal sign that has a variable. So I see that -8, I'm going to add 8 to both sides. Cross it off here. I'm going to bring down my 12w. And I'm pretty sure that -116 plus 8 is -108. But I'm going to double check that because I'm going to have to divide anyway. So, when I divide that by 12, w equals -9. All right, let's look at number 7. Number 7, very similar as well. Here I do have to distribute, but this time I'm going to be distributing the -1. So before I forget it, the 11h is going to come down. All right, there's my 11h. Now I'm going to distribute the -1. -1 times 2h is -2h. -1 times -1 gives me a +1. Then I'm going to bring down everything else. All right. I'm looking to combine like terms, and I see that I do have like terms. It's the +11 and the -2. And if I put those together, I get a +9h. And I'm going to bring down everything else. Alrighty. Draw my line. Trying to get this h by itself, so I have to get rid of the 1. I'm going to subtract that on both sides. Over here they cancel out, and I'll bring down my 9h. And 118 minus 1 is 117. I know I'm going to have to divide by 9 on both sides, and we'll see what we get as the final answer. We have 117 divided by 9, 13. +13 is my answer here. So far, so good. Couple more to try. Let me just switch this over. Alrighty. Lots going on here. But that's okay, we know our steps. Our first step always tells us to distribute if possible. And I see distribution, so I'm going to do that first. Just draw my line really quick. What's wonderful about distributing a half is if you have great mental math, you can do this in your head. So 1/2 times 10, or half of 10, is 5. That's going to give me 5x. And 1/2 times -2, or half of -2, is -1. Then I'm gonna bring down everything else. So my plus 3x, my equal sign, and my negative 25. Alrighty, looking for like terms. I see one set of like terms. It's gonna be the 5x and the 3x. And if I put them together, they're gonna give me 8x. Then I'll bring down my minus 1, my equal sign, and my negative 25. Still want to keep my line here. Trying to get this x by itself. So I know I need to get rid of this negative 1, so I'm going to add 1. Over here it'll go away, and I'll have negative 24 equals 8x. Last step. Gotta get that x by itself, so I'm going to divide by 8. Cancel those out. And negative 3 equals x. All right. Ooh, number 9 is tricky. We definitely have to distribute. Then we're going to combine some like terms on the same side of the equal sign, and then we'll solve. Let's start by drawing our line. Right now, we're going to distribute negative 5 halves. But before I multiply in there, I'm going to bring down this positive 7. So if I don't, I know I'm going to forget about it. So let me grab my trusty calculator. And I have negative 5 halves times 8. And that gives me negative 20. And then it's going to have that R on the end. And then one more time, negative 5 halves times negative 6 gives me a positive 15. I'm going to bring down everything else. So then I have plus 2r equals 32. All right. Let's look for some like terms. Well, I see a set right here. This negative 20r and this positive 2r. When I put them together in my calculator, I put negative 20 plus 2, and that would give me negative 18r. Then my other set of like terms are this positive 7 and this positive 15, which if I put together, give me a positive 22. Then I'm going to bring down my equal sign and my 32. Just like before, I want to get that variable by itself. So I'm going to subtract or add my constant to the other side of the equal sign. So let's subtract 22. Draw my line here. This goes away, and I'm going to bring down my negative 18r equals, and that's going to give me a positive 10. So then when I divide by negative 18, yeah, I might get a decimal, but that's okay. So I have 10 divided by or over negative 18, and r equals negative 5/9. All right, we've got one more challenge problem at the bottom. Let me scroll up and we'll see how to do that one. Go ahead and read it yourself right now as I scroll it. Let's see what we have here. There's a little bit of that translating, keywords and phrases. Excellent. So they want us to translate and solve, and it seems like a lot, but let's take it piece by piece and see what we come up with. So remember those keywords. 5 times the difference of a number and 3. All right, well, that's a lot already. I see 5 times something, okay, so that makes me believe that I'm going to be multiplying. But I'm going to be multiplying 5 by the difference of something. And I know difference tells me to subtract twice a number means that I'm going to multiply a number by 2, so 2n. And then there's that other number 3. So let's reread that. 5 times the difference of twice a number and 3. If we're thinking of this alone, the difference of twice a number and 3 looks like that. Now they want 5 times all of that. I'm gonna put that whole thing in parentheses, put a 5 out there. Okay, let me read it one more time for you and see if it makes sense. 5 times the difference of twice a number and 3. Let's see what the second part says. Decreased by. Decreased by definitely tells me, let me switch the colors here, definitely tells me that I need to subtract. So I'm gonna be subtracting something. The sum, all right. I know I'm gonna have a sum here, I'm gonna be adding. The sum of the number and 8. The number, we'll make that represent, n represent our number, and 8, so there's our sum, equals 13. All right, let me read that second part back to you, see if it makes sense. Decreased by the sum of a number and 8 equals 13. All right. Let's go ahead and solve it. First thing I'm gonna do is distribute. I'm gonna distribute the 5 over here, the -1 on this side, and I'll draw my line. 5 times 2n gives me 10n, and 5 times -3 gives me -15. -1 times n gives me -1n. -1 times 8 gives me -8. Now I'm going to bring down my equal sign and my 13. Let's look for some like terms. I see some guys with the same last name. 10n and -1n. All right, so 10 minus 1 would give me 9n. And I'm just writing it over there so it's closer to the 13. Then my other set of like terms is -15 and -8, which together give me -23. I'm gonna bring down my equal sign and bring down my 13. Here's my variable. All right, gotta get rid of this constant term, so I'm gonna add 23 on both sides. This is gonna give me 36. Bring down my 9n. Lastly, I know, let me draw my line here. Lastly, I know I have to divide to get the n by itself. And 36 divided by 9 is 4. Well, hopefully, breaking it down like that shows you the steps on how to solve multi-step equations. Remember, just follow those steps and use your order of operations and inverse operations, and you'll get it. Hope this helped. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. See you soon.